Hello everyone and welcome to this Python course for beginners. So this course is meant for absolute beginners and I am making this right now for specifically for you guys in the who are studying in ISR Bhopal. My brother was trying to teach a few people, and what is happening is that every day new people are showing up, and so basically he has to take the introductory class over and over and over again, and the stuff is not progressing. And from what I can tell, this will go on for some time. So what I decided to do is just create or record a similar class that I can put on the web and ask him to refer people there so that they can catch up. That way he doesn't have to repeat the same class forever. So that's the plan. This is specifically for you guys, the students of ISR Bhopal. Of course, I mean anyone else watching this, of course you are welcome too, but the purpose of this was to help out my brother basically. So with that out of the way, I am Deepan. I am doing computational chemistry. I am doing PhD in computational chemistry in Germany right now, and I learned programming on my own. Basically, I am a biologist by training, but nowadays I do machine learning, so coding is my day job, you can say that. So with that out of the way, let's move on to discussing some Python. So I will in this first part, what I will try to do is basically give you a very gross overview of what Python is and how it works. But first of all, we have to get it set up in our computer. So that is what we will do, and then we will talk about the syntax and semantics a little bit, and that is where this part 1 will finish. In part 2 we will pick up where we leave off here and continue on to discussing data structures in Python. So in this first part we will get everything set up and run and basically write our first Python program, that's called the hello world. So if you can write the hello world program and run it, that means not only that you are a beginner Python programmer, but also that Python, now your system is configured to run Python properly. So in this first part we will see how to do that, and then we will move on to part 2. So come with me and let's get started. So here we have a new machine that I set up, a virtual machine in fact, and so this is basically how we will get Windows out of the box. There is nothing installed here, and I just went so to install Python you just go to here www.python.org, and right here you can see there are some things about Python, and here is the download button, and you can go to latest and it gives you a little bit of detail about this. But what we will do is we will go to downloads and say download for Windows. If you are on Mac or any other platform, this button will actually change and it will say download for Mac or whatever platform you are on, but we are on Windows at the moment. So let's just download this Python executable, save that file, and once it is set up we will just run it. And this is important. So this step is crucial. It says that it will install this under C users, my username, app data local programs Python 30 Python the version name. And this is important because if you install Python there, it will become very difficult for you to find where it is installed. Why do you need to find that? That will become apparent as we move on, but what I would recommend is not to install there, because that folder under Windows is a little bit difficult to find. So what to do instead is choose this, choose customize installation, and that gives you these options, and then you click next. So by the way, just to discuss, all of these things comes built in to Python. So these are basically, you can think of them as add-on to the core Python language, and all of these are pretty much necessary. So I would say that do not uncheck any of these and just go next. So here it gives us a few options. It's for all users. Do that at your own discretion. Create shortcuts and associate files with Python. So if we do this, then if we double click a Python file, it will open up with the executable and actually execute. So that depends upon you, but I'll keep that check for right now. So this checkbox is important. So by checking that checkbox, what we do is basically make Windows recognize Python, so that when we go to the command prompt and run the command Python, Windows recognizes, aha, I know where Python is, so it basically can execute. Otherwise you have to do that step manually. So check that box. And the other ones are fine. I'll leave them as is, and of course change this location as I was saying before, that do not install under app data local programs. Just go browse and just install under your username. So you will find your username right here, and you can just make a new folder right here, call it Python. Let's say this is 3.7, so I'll just call it Python 37. That will be fine. Yes, that looks fine. So just do that and hit install. Of course you will get this pop-up asking you to give you permission to do that. And so now Python is being installed. So while that is being installed, let's check out another program that we might want to install, and that is called Visual Studio Code. Just search for Visual Studio Code and you will find it. Python is still being installed, and here it is. So this is a text editor, and this is where we will actually write our Python programs. You can actually write this with some tools that comes with Python. There is one tool that I will show off, which is called Idle. That is pretty good. There is also, you can also write this in Notepad or Notepad++, or if you use any other text editor, that will work. So keep in mind, these are text editor, not word processor like Microsoft Word. So these are if you are not sure, or if you don't know what these things are, just go to code.visualstudio.com and download this. So we just do save file, and open it up. We'll follow the usual procedure to install Visual Studio Code. So by the way, also Visual Studio Code is also being installed under app data local programs. Change that if you want to, but I am going to leave that alone because I don't really need to access this path much. So, and just hit next, and here also this is by default checked, so that is fine. And I'll just gonna check these two, because then I can just right click on any folder or file and just say open with code, and it will open with Visual Studio Code. That is a bit helpful. Okay, click next and install. So meanwhile Python is installed, and here it is saying that here it is asking you to do basically change your machine configuration. I'd highly recommend you do this. Just click here and say yes, give permission to do that. That's enough, and then close out of here. And so now we are basically done. We have installed Python, and we have installed a text editor to write code in. So let's see. So I'll not launch Visual Studio Code for now, because what I want to show you first is how to run Python from the command line or terminal as it is known. So just go to Windows and search for CMD, and that will open up this command prompt, and go there. So this is the terminal or the command prompt as it is known in Windows terms. So if you now type here Python, you will see that because we asked Windows to recognize the Python installation that we just did, Python opens up. If you do not have Python installed, this will not come up. So if you get this, then that means Python is installed and you have configured Python successfully. So now this by going into command prompt and typing Python like this, what we invoke is what is known as by going to the, as I was saying, by going to the command prompt and by typing Python like this, what we invoke is what is known as a command line interface, or CLI. And so basically you can type any Python command or any Python code in here, that is one line, and it will execute and it will work. So if you type 3 plus 2 here, Python will say that is 5. You can say 3 star 2, that I think is 3 to the power 2, so that is 9. Yes. And you can also say, I mean, you can do crazy, like you can go a little bit crazy right here. So you can say 3 star, let's say 8, that is 6561. Okay, how about 15? That is fine. How about 35? Okay. So you can see we can do some mathematics just in the command line interface. There is no code that you need to write for this. You can say something like this, and I'll explain what that means. But this is basically what is known as a Python command or a Python function, and you can say print hello, and Python will print hello. So any single line of Python code will work in this interface, and this is known as a command line interface or CLI. So to exit out of here, what you do is type exit and open and close parentheses, and that will exit you out of the command line interface. So if you are with me so far, you have successfully configured Python, and now we will talk a little bit about how Python works, and look at a few things.